Hello and welcome back to UDK Game Development. My name is John P. Doran and this is Section 2, 3D Platformer, Part 2, Creating Collectibles. Over the course of this section, we're going to learn how to build a collectible. After that, we're going to create Kismet pickup behavior. Then we're going to learn how to use named variables. And then finally, we're going to learn how to create prefabs. So with that in mind, let's get started. In this video, we're going to add our first custom feature to our platformer game, a collectible item. So in between the last video, I spent some time actually building an area that we could jump around in, as you can see here. Now, feel free to spend time creating your own design, or pick up the file that I created at packedpublishing.com, at the address shown on the screen. And for those of you who'd rather like to see the exact process, you can actually watch the video at this link. Now, in games, collectibles can be used for a lot of different things, such as rewarding the player for exploring the world, and to lead the player in directions he'd otherwise not know how to go to. So in our game, what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that we can we're going to pick up all the collectibles in our level, and then we can complete it. So the first thing we need to do is to actually find a 3D model, or as we call them in UDK, a mesh, to act as our collectible. So to do that, I'm going to go into the browser window and select Content Browser, and then I'm going to have to look for one. So for that, I'm going to go to this object type here, and I'm going to be looking for a static mesh, and I want some kind of pickup item. And we've got a couple different things here that we can use. Let's see. Okay, I think this will work out nicely. So with this object selected, we need to put it inside our map. So I'm going to go somewhere in my level. I can either close the content browser or just move it aside. I find a place in my level, and wherever I want to place it, I need to go right-click and then select Add InterpActor, Pickups Ammo, Shock Mesh, S Ammo, Shock Rifle. With that done, you'll notice that down here, you'll see that mesh. The InterpActor, or interpolating actor, is a special dynamic version of the static mesh actor that we've used previously. It supports a wide variety of physics types and can be controlled via Kismet or in Matinee. Now, in previous versions of Unreal Engine 3, it was referred to as a mover. So if you see something using the word mover, they're talking about the same thing. Now, the reason that we're using an InterpActor is the fact that static meshes can't change once the game starts due to the fact that they're, well, static. InterpActors, or movers, can be moved as well as be made invisible, and that's what we'll be doing. Now, if you looked at the browser, you'll notice there was that section here where it says no collision model, and that basically means that there is no collision on this object, so we're not going to be able to actually tell whenever it is that we've collided with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use something called a trigger volume to call an event using Kismet so that when we touch it in the same area where the mesh is, then we're going to make it disappear. So to do that, we just simply need to duplicate another brush like we've done in previous videos. So go over here, find a mesh that we want to use, drag it over, again, holding down the Alt key, and we'll just very quickly put a box that will hold the entire object. And there we go. So finally, I want to make it only be as tall as we need for the actual object. And there we go. I think that'll do nicely. Lastly, we need to go into the properties for this mesh and change it to be the actual volume. Now we can do this by right-clicking and then selecting Convert to Volume, and then you'll see Trigger Volume. And now you'll notice that the color changes from that bluish color now into this green one. Now, as you saw earlier, there are actually many different kinds of trigger volumes that you can use. Right now, we actually used a brush that we've created to turn it into a volume, but we can also create another brush by using the builder brush from before. Again, I can press B to bring back the builder brush, and if I go to this menu here for volumes, click Add Volume, you'll see that all the volumes are here as well, including the trigger volume once again. Now, we're not going to be talking about all the different volumes that there are inside of Unreal. If you're interested in learning more about volumes, you can also check out the UDN here, and it'll have more stuff all about volumes. So finally, we want to add something so that once we collide with this, instead of just going invisible, we want a little extra pop to our level. We want to see some kind of effect. To do that, we're going to use something called a particle system. Particle systems are a way to create a lot of cool graphical effects, such as fire and explosions, and that's what we're going to use for this. So to do that, I'm going to once again go to the content browser, and instead of using static meshes, now I'm going to be unchecking this and selecting particle systems. And instead of a pickup, I want to have some kind of cool effect. I've already went ahead and found one that I really liked, the shock rifle explosion effect. Now you'll see it right here. With that selected, I'm again going to exit out of here, then right-click where this is, and click Add Emitter. Once that pops up, you'll see that huge explosion. Now I want to move it until it's in the center of the mesh. Now, if you need help doing that due to being on the grid, you can uncheck right here until you move it into the correct position, and then afterwards, we can turn it back on. Alright, I think that's pretty good. Now, by default, if I play the game, the particle system will show up as soon as the level begins. And that's not what we want. We want the particle system to only play once I collide with that collectible that we've created. So, to do that, with the particle system selected, I can go into the Properties window for the actor by pressing F4 or going there, and then we want to turn off the property Auto Activate. Auto Activate says that I will start as soon as the level turns on. So I'm going to turn that off, and now when we start the game, you'll see that it doesn't happen. Alright, so at this point we now have the object in the world, but nothing happens whenever we touch it. And so that's what we're going to do in the next video.